Last night you called on accident, heard you.
Welcome to another video with Living Life with Bree. So in today's video, this is going to be a highly requested, highly anticipated makeup tutorial. This is my go-to makeup tutorial when my clients book my Insta baddie. You want to be glam, but you still want it to be a little natural or whatever. So I went in with the rose toner. Everything will be listed below. And I just kind of used it as a primer to clean her skin because I believe she had prior moisturizer on her skin. And then I went in with the e.l.f. Hydra Grip Primer. She has like combination skin, but she gets oily throughout the day. I've learned to like extrally set her face. I started to do that with a lot of my clients with this Houston heat. So that e.l.f. Hydra Grip acts like a gripping, it's really in the name, it grips the foundation. That way it's not just sitting on the skin. I let that dry and then I go in with her foundation shade. These are 3 different foundation shades. She tans really easily, so I just tend to mix foundations, but I'm pressing that into the skin, and I like to go in sections just to make sure it looks good, because as you can see, her face is like 2-3 different tones. And make sure when you're blending your client's foundation, you get it under their neck, like under their chin area. Sometimes I have to bring it down to their neck just because the discoloration. It really, to me, is a makeup artist's personal preference, but I think for picture-wise, it looks so much better when you blend it down so you don't see the lines of demarcation. And I really emphasize on patting the foundation in, because if you don't blend that foundation into the skin, all your other products won't have something to absorb onto, which leads me back to saying that e.l.f. Hydra Grip, to me, is a necessity, and it's very affordable. It's only like $10 to stop all of those products from just messing up your client's skin. Immediately after I'm done blending in the foundation, I go in with my concealer choices. Again, every product will be listed in the description. So in this video, I'm just going to talk you through what I'm doing. I might list here and there what I'm using, but unfortunately, sometimes I don't remember off the top of my head. So I don't really stick to the whole like less is more with concealer, because that's where I get most of my coverage from. Like, I don't use a full coverage foundation on all of my clients, really depending on their skin. But to make this glam and to also keep it natural, I tend to go for the full coverage concealer. So I'm pressing that in and I'm blending up towards the hairline. The key to a perfect base is blending. Like, if you this only takes me like 45 minutes, but when I first started, it was a cool hour 30. Like, being a makeup artist is about consistency and blending and just making sure you are satisfied with your final product. Throughout this video, the reason I didn't really edit out a lot of the continuous blending clips is because I wanted to be known that like blending is key. Like, you have to blend out everything you put on your clients, which is why personally, a little off subject, but I don't do the whole like squeeze ins, because if I don't have time to, even though it don't take me long, if I don't have time to blend out your face how I need to, I'm not gonna let you book with me. But anyways, so I'm blending that concealer out, and sometimes, as you've seen, towards the edges of the concealer, I'll kind of like dust around it and blend that out going down, just so again there's no lines of demarcation. And then I blend the layers of concealer over the nose also. That way when I go and I contour, there's no lines of demarcation there either. So now I'm going in with that contour shade. Unfortunately, this shade and this product probably won't be listed in the description just because they don't sell it no more. But I just went in with a shade that was 2 to 3 shades darker than her. Kind of like 3 to 4 shades darker than her, just because I know when I go in with the foundation brush, it'll be blended more into the skin. Typically, I will say when you're blending your contour shades into your client's skin, apply a shade that is, this is if you're beginning as an MUA. Apply shades that aren't this far off from the client's face, simply because you really have to take your time blending this out. Only reason why I feel like I can reach for that shade for her is because I know how it will look. I've done her makeup multiple times and I reach for the same shades unless it's the foundation shade. But definitely go in with something that is a little closer to your foundation, to your client's foundation shade. And then as you can see, I'm blending that out into the eyebrow because this is gonna act as a barrier for our eyeshadow blending into the eyebrow area, which creates that sort of illusion of a slimmer nose. And to be honest, I don't really use cream blush that often, but I think after today, or after the day this video is recorded, I'm gonna start using it more because I was a real big fan of how this came out. I like to blend my clients' blush underneath their under eye area, as you can see, and then I go back and forth with those 3 main brushes, which is the brush I use to blend out the concealer, the brush I'm currently using to blend out the blush, that was a tongue twister, and then the contour brush. I like to, and the foundation brush, just so everything looks seamless together, because you don't want them demarcation lines. That messes the face up. That makes it look like choppy looking and quote unquote cakey. So now here is the catcher. I'm going in with a concealer shade that is lighter than her, like 2 to 3 shades lighter than her, on her under eye, bridge of her nose, and I bring that over her lip. And I go and I blend it out in the same areas, but after you do your blush, you have to put another concealer. It can be the exact same one if your client doesn't want a bright under eye. She likes a bright under eye though. So put another concealer shade under the eye again and blend those back and forth together so they mesh together. And this also helps with that glam look. The bright under eye definitely gives that glam effect, that filter effect in real life. So again, I'm just blending that out how I blended out the first layer of concealer. And also, as you can see, I'm blending the concealer up by her eyebrow area just so it can look gradient and it doesn't just look like bright under eye, one tone forehead. I don't like that because I don't place the contour concealer on the forehead simply because I don't want it to get on the lace, and it's kind of okay if the foundation get on the lace because it matches their skin tone, but if you get a contour shade which is darker than them on their lace, it'll just look sloppy. So now I'm going in with the Derma Blend translucent setting powder, and this is something I would say pay attention to. I make sure they stay looking up. If your client looks down, they're gonna have creases under their eyes, and then they're gonna be mad at you for you setting their under eyes when you told them not to look down. But that's another story for another day. So the reason I go in with this translucent setting powder is because I put that brightening concealer under the eye, and this specific translucent powder is universal. I can use this on any skin tone and I don't have to worry about it causing flashback or any of that. So this is just setting all of the creams I put on her face, minus the kind of the blush and not really the contour shade. But towards the end, I'm going to go in with another brightening powder, which y'all will see. And that'll help with the brightening concealer I put on her face. And I used that same translucent powder, the Derma Blend, to bake the sides of her nose. And also make sure you're setting your client's eyebrows if you do their eyebrows last like me. If you go in with an eyebrow pencil or a pomade, it won't really be able to grip on the client's skin as well as it will if you set it. It'll just slide right off. And I used to struggle with that for a very, very long time. So now I'm going in with the shade CoCo Naughty from Fenty Beauty. It's a pressed foundation. I use this sometimes to bronze up my client's skin just because it's a little like lightweight. It's not such a heavy contour shade. And I'm bringing that on the chin area just to chisel it up. And that's somewhere that I didn't really place my contour concealer, so it's bringing that color back into the skin. And I like to go in with an angle brush and press my contour bronzer shade like in a diagonal line going towards the mouth. That way it gives that slightly sculpted, realistic skin effect. And how I said earlier, I didn't put a bronzer cream on the client's forehead. I went ahead and used a powder. So taking the same CoCo Naughty by Fenty Beauty, I'm just going and really setting that nose contour, and I'm blending that into the eyebrow to act as my sort of like a transition shade, but not really, because it's gonna be the same exact shade I use to like kind of the eyeshadow to look warm on her eye. Just really like a skin tone shade on her eye, which y'all will see. So now I'm going in with my blush. This is the Juvias Place Volume 4 blush. I live by this blush. Only times I don't use it is when it's like a deeper skin client. Other than that, I use this blush. I'll do a video on that also so y'all can see the products that I do use as well. But I'm placing that directly in the same exact area I placed that cream blush. I'm noticing that using the cream blush underneath the powder blush makes the blush last longer. So this is the trick that I was telling y'all about with the brightening powder. I take my powder puff and I get a brightening powder. In my case, this is the Anastasia translucent powder. And I put the translucent powder on the palm of my hand, and then I dip my powder puff into my hand and I double set the under eye. That gives it that bright, seamless, smooth under eye look, which I feel like that's my little trick that I taught myself, because I haven't really seen too many people do that, but I definitely recommend doing it. And then I just take like the excess of any powder that I have in my hand, and I just dust that around the face just to make sure everything is double set, making sure I'm setting those eyebrows, because again, you cannot do wet eyebrows. It just won't work. So for the eyebrows, I'll probably do more of an in-depth tutorial on eyebrows. So basically, I'm just underlining her natural brow shape, and then I will elongate her brows in the front just so they kind of meet each other and it is not such a large gap in between them. And I like to brush the top of the eyebrow hairs down and do the same exact thing as the bottom, just following her natural shape. And towards the end of me doing her eyebrows, you'll see I had to change eyebrow pencils. I ran out of my eyebrow pencil that I was using, so I'm just gonna list both of them in the description, but they're really the exact same shade, just a price difference. I personally prefer to use this one that I'm using. I can't think of the name. Oh, Benefit. I prefer to use the Benefit brow products just because I feel like the brow pencil itself shows up so much more pigmented than the Morphe brow pencil. But here you see me kind of elongating her eyebrow, and this is kind of self-explanatory. I feel like people do eyebrows differently. I like for the eyebrows to stay like their natural shape. I will say eyebrows are something you really have to take your time with, because in my case, I do the eyebrows last, which is why I do them so natural, because I don't really have a lot of room to mess up on, because you don't really want to go with too much concealer on top of something that you already placed powder on. So now I'm taking my Sephora brush. Again, this will be in the description. And I'm just carving underneath her eyebrows. So right now, I felt like in this moment that I wanted it to be a really thin line. But I ended up going back and kind of making that line a little thicker, because I felt like it left too much of a demarcation on her eyebrow, which I didn't like. And as you can see, it's a difference in how I was just holding it versus how I'm holding it now. Sometimes my hand is not the steadiest, but I would tell you to hold it how I just did just now, because I'm about to go back and do that exact same thing to the other eyebrow and make that line just a little bit thicker. And then I'm blending all of that out, not dragging it too far down, because the point of this eye look is to make it look like skin. And if you put your eyeshadow on top of their bare lid, it gives that like skin effect. Like, I just want to bronze up her lid, that's all. Now I'm going in with an eyeshadow shade that is very similar to the CoCo Naughty shade. Really not sure why I didn't just use CoCo Naughty, because they're the exact same shades. This is the eyeshadow palette Warrior 2 by Juvias Place, and I'm taking the very first shade. So again, you can see how the eyeshadow looks like her lid is just bronze, and how I'm blending that in the same exact areas where I brought the nose contour onto, just so it looks like seamlessly together and it's very, very gradient. One thing I've learned over the years of doing makeup is that I like my eyeshadow to be kind of pulled at an angle going towards the hairline, like how I'm doing now. I want everything to look snatched on my client's face. Now I'm taking the same exact eyeshadow shade and I'm putting it under the lid, and most of the time I go in with a nude eyeliner, but she don't really do well with eyeliner, so I would say to enhance this look a little bit, put that in the waterline. Now, when it comes to a lip combo, unless requested otherwise by my client, I always overline my client's lips, preferably just the top lip, because it gives it that more Instagrammy lip filler plump lip look. And I couldn't really show y'all too well in this video because I had to get in the frame to make sure it was perfect. But I'm using Chestnut by MAC, and then I'm using the shade Ari from my cosmetic line to act as the gloss. You're gonna see me going back and forth between the lip gloss and the lip liner, just because everything needs to be blended. You don't want a blotchy lip. Like, if I was to just leave it how it is now, it wouldn't look right. So I have her patting her lips together. Make sure they do not rub their lips, because sometimes it's okay, but most of the time they messing up the lip, and you just don't want that. So now I'm taking a concealer shade that I used last under her eye, and I'm just carving out her lips to make sure everything is neatly lined. You don't want nothing to look over like you didn't mean to do that. You want everything to look intentional and blended. I use any eyeliner to put on those beauty molds. It's something about a beauty mold that I love it, chef's kiss. And then I go ahead and set the face with the Morphe setting spray. Sometimes I use the Patrick Star one size mattifying setting spray, but I had double set under her eye and I just didn't want it to be too like tight. I hate when makeup feels tight. Thank y'all for watching. I went in with the ThinkMinkTay highlighter palette to highlight the bridge of her nose. I don't really like highlighting anything else. But stay tuned for another video. I'll be showing y'all a more detailed eye look. Thanks for watching. See y'all next time.